Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. All stories are scary. Some are even terrifying. But have you ever heard of one that completely baffles you? Well, today I'm going to tell you about a mysterious house that I once saw the face of an evil spirit. This is my own personal scary experience. So let's get started. I grew up in a small town in Illinois. It was a nice place to live with just enough excitement to keep things interesting. In other words, we had crime, but it was usually nothing more than some vandalism or an occasional fight. When I was 13, there were two houses on the outskirts of town that were rumored to be haunted. Now, obviously, this piqued my curiosity, and I would walk past them whenever I could. The first house was a big Victorian-style home that looked like something out of a Gothic novel. It was huge, gray and dreary. Its paint was peeling and the porch was caved in from age. For many years, the house sat empty, and rumors swirled that the former owner killed his family inside before taking his own life. One day, I decided to investigate and walked right up to the front door. Of course, it was locked, so I tried a window, but it was boarded up. Then I noticed a hole in the boards. It was just big enough for me to squeeze through. I didn't think much of it, so I climbed through without making a sound. Inside, everything was covered in dust and cobwebs. As I wandered through the house, I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread wash over me. There was a musty odor that clung to the air, and every creak of the floorboard made me jump. Suddenly, I heard footsteps. I froze and listened intently. Were they coming closer? No. Footsteps in the attic. Above me. I quickly climbed back through the window and ran as fast as I could to my bike. As I pedaled away, I glanced back at the house and saw a faint glow coming from one of the upstairs windows. Maybe it was a family of raccoons, I thought, trying to rationalize my way out of the situation. Maybe I had imagined the footsteps. Yeah, maybe I did. I told myself, my heart still pounding in my chest. From that day forward, I avoided that house like the plague. I never went near it again, and I never spoke of my experience to anyone. But the second house was a different story. It wasn't nearly as grand or imposing as the first. In fact, it was quite unassuming. It was a small, single-story bungalow with a faded blue door and a yard full of overgrown weeds. To the townsfolk, it was just another abandoned eyesore. But to me, it was a mystery that I couldn't solve. I had no idea who had lived there or why they left, but I was determined to find out. One day, while walking past the house, I noticed that the front window had been smashed and the curtains were hanging limply from their rods. I hesitated for a moment, torn between my curiosity and a growing sense of unease. But curiosity won, and I walked up to the house. I peered through the broken window into the dusty living room. As I did, I noticed something strange. It looked like there was a face peering back at me from inside the house. At first, I thought I was imagining things. After all, it was just an abandoned house and there was no one inside, or so I thought. But then I looked again and the face was still there. It was the face of an old man with sunken eyes and a long white beard. He seemed to be sitting in a rocking chair by the window, slowly swaying back and forth. And as I stared at him, I could have sworn he looked at me and smiled. But when I blinked, he was gone. I quickly looked away and tried to shake off the image. Was it a trick of the light or something more sinister? I couldn't tell, but I knew that I didn't want to stay around to find out. I backed away from the window and ran as fast as I could, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't look back once. The following night, I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning in my bed, replaying the events of the day in my mind. Had I really seen a ghost, or was I losing my mind? As the hours passed, my fear turned to fascination. I had to go back to the house and see if what I had seen was real. With that, I got out of bed, put on a jacket and headed out the door. My friends thought I was crazy, but they also thought that ghosts weren't real, so they didn't take my claims seriously. I didn't blame them, but I knew what I had seen. As I approached the house, I could feel my heart racing in my chest. The streetlights flickered, casting long, eerie shadows that danced around me. The wind whispered through the trees, making them sound like they were screaming. The sight that greeted me was both strange and unsettling. The window that I had seen the old man in the previous day was now boarded up. Had someone else been here before me and made the repair? Who could it have been? I stood there wondering, unable to tear my eyes away from the house. Just then, I heard a noise. It was a slow, dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled along the ground. My blood ran cold. Could it be the old man? Was he coming to get me? The sound stopped abruptly, and I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself down. It was probably just the wind, I told myself, but just in case, I decided to walk a little further away from the house and wait until morning to investigate. As the sun began to rise, I could see the details of the house more clearly. The paint was peeling and the lawn was overgrown. The sight was both sad and haunting. I knew that whatever secrets this house held, it wasn't willing to share them easily. I walked up to the front door and knocked. No one answered. Of course, I thought, how could anyone live here? Still, I couldn't help but wonder what secrets lay hidden within those four walls. I turned the doorknob and stepped inside. The interior of the house was dark and dusty. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling and the floorboards creaked ominously under my feet. I could feel the weight of the house pressing down on me, as if it were trying to trap me inside forever. I wandered through the rooms, each one more desolate than the last. In the corner of one room, I saw something that made me gasp. It was a rocking chair. It was old and worn, but it was definitely there. And as I approached it, I could have sworn that it rocked slightly back and forth. I reached out and touched the chair. It was cold, as if no one had sat in it for years. But then I felt something else. It was a presence, an invisible force that seemed to surround the chair. I could feel it watching me, judging me. Suddenly, I heard a voice. It was a whisper, barely audible, but I heard it nonetheless. "Are you here to join me?" The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I spun around, but there was no one there. Was it the old man? Had he followed me into the house? I didn't know. I couldn't see him, but I could feel his presence in the room with me. I backed away from the chair and stumbled out of the house. I didn't look back. I ran as fast as I could, my heart pounding in my chest. As I got away from the house, I could feel the presence lift. I was safe, or was I? I never saw the old man again, but I could feel his eyes on me whenever I passed his house. And sometimes at night, I would hear the dragging sound in my dreams. Years have passed since then, but the memory of that house and the old man who haunts it still linger in my mind. I can't help but wonder what secrets that house holds and what happened to the old man. Did he die in the house? If so, why? And what is he doing there now? These questions have haunted me for years, and I fear they may never be answered. That was my scary experience. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to follow my channel and subscribe for more content like this. And don't forget to like and comment below to let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. See you next time.